here in Kentucky, and so I thought, hey, what better time?
Hey guys, this is Charlie, and this is going to be a walkthrough of Cwrproductions Winter 2025. On my TV right now, I got a Mancave walkthrough of Pizzal from a few years ago. There's one of the many podcasters that I follow for horror content and just cleaning content for myself so I can organize and figure out how I want my space to be. Okay, so let's start where I usually start at, up here at the doorway. So right here, we got a couple of 8x10s. It's Eliza Dushku, Freddy Krueger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Tom Petty, my favorite singer. Eliza Dushku was Faith in Buffy, and she was my first celebrity crush. What we have here is a publicity photo of Jack Nicholson and Batman from Batman 1989. My Toys R Us display right there, display sign. That is a picture of the band Portishead from a magazine that I framed. And down here, what we have is Sam, my Sam Reef from from Spirit Halloween. And he's still sporting my happy birthday balloon from not this year, but last year from Alexis. So he's had that for at least 2 years now. Okay, that's my dad right there in that picture. And then also my dad right there on the horse. Right here, what we have is my Late Night with the Devil little mini postcard that came with my umbrella release of Late Night with the Devil. And then also right here is an ad for a place in LA that's no longer in service, Icons of Darkness. I went there about 3 years ago, for one Halloween with my buddy Oscar from high school and a couple of our other friends, which was awesome. Couple Marvel figures right here in box still. Firestar, and Star-Lord. That is my Stephen King Sleepwalkers poster. That was commissioned by Shout Factory. It's pretty awesome. I keep it framed right there by the door. That is Roxetta the Destroyer. Hey, Roxetta. I am Charlie. I am a cat dad. I am also a RadTech student at Mount Sac. Let's start with this corner right here. So what we have is my Krampus sign and a It sign right here. I sometimes like to put like little displays on the sides of my bookcases. It just kind of helps them look cleaner. So what we have here, I'm going to lean down and then work my way up. So that is a Sam pumpkin that lights up. Also from Spirit Halloween. That's a Dido poster right there. Those are a couple of my books in my to read pile right there. I have a couple little displays like that. That is a light up Soundwave mask that has a candle on the inside. Next to the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash comics. Right up here, Trick or Treat Studios mask of Linda Blair by a couple of magazines of mine. These are kind of like my superhero movie magazines. So this is Superman, this is an Indiana Jones one, that is a Jaws one, and that's a Movie Monsters one. Moving my way up right here. So what we have in this corner right here, that is my Halloween 4 hard case from Shout Studios. That was their 4K release. It's just an empty case right there. I'll show you in a minute where I put the Blu-ray from that. Okay, so what we have here is They Live Alien Funko beside Ripley and her power loader. And behind that is the Halloween and Friday the 13th sets from Shout Studios. Currently, Shout Studios is in a transitionary phase right now, so by this time next year, it's possible they might not even be in the movie making business now. So that is going to be a memento, basically, to remember what that studio was before they merged in and became something else. So what we have up here is a random picture of Bruce Campbell with Nathan Fillion beside my talking Crypt Keeper doll. Let's see, can I press the button to prove that he still talks? Maybe if I do it with my righty. Yep. Alrighty, Crypty. Okay, so that is my triple changer action figures. That's Blitzwing and Astro Train. Blitzwing is from the Legacy Collection. Astro Train is from Earthrise. That is a Slimer that makes noise when you push his tongue.
There's some Second Sight and 101 Films releases.
Okay, there we go. That's Scorpion from the Spider-Man animated series. That is an Nostromo patch. I'm sorry. That is from the Colonial Marines, the Sulaco of Aliens, which is my second favorite movie of all time and the best sequel of all time. That was my favorite movie in high school, but it has since been slightly overtaken by Back to the Future, which is my number one favorite movie of all time now. But it's a very close race between those two. Both those movies have been in my life since high school. Okay, oh. And right up here, this is my friend Sonia, who I met in vet tech school, and her family, her brothers and sisters, and her daughters. Sonia is a very close friend of mine, and somebody I care very much about. Okay, moving on up. What we have in this picture right here, we have a couple of prints that I have found at Frankensons, which is a vendor place that sells Funkos, art prints, sports memorabilia, different stuff like that here in the California area. So that's Poison Ivy and Gambit, mon ami. Gambit is my absolute favorite Marvel character of all time because he's a badass. Okay. So what we have here is a random picture of Tom Hanks with the Crypt Keeper. Tales from the Crypt is my absolute favorite show of all time. I was a fan of that show long before I should even have been watching that because I was about, I want to say like 10 years old when I first found out about it and really became a fan of it. Off of the syndication versions on Fox. Okay, and beside that picture is a picture of Elektra. She's another close friend of mine who, to be honest, has always been kind of inspiration in my life. I don't think I would have known about smart, intelligent women if it hadn't been for her. And then below that is me with my friend Brina. She has the biggest heart of all, and I'm very grateful to know her. And then right below, right next to that is my friend Danielle, my best friend Danielle. She is a rock star, and I adore her for her weirdness. Okay, so right up here we're gonna go. Okay, that's pretty good in frame right there. So at the very top we have some X-Men figures right there. That is Apocalypse. That is Doctor Strange and Wong. That is Shocker and Rhino. And then a couple little minifigs. And then below them is Griff from Back to the Future Part 2, NECA. Next to the Sorceress from Masters of the Universe. A Stan Lee bobblehead. A bust of Gambit and Rogue. A little mini NECA, rock candy, I should say, of Ellen Ripley by a little mini mystery figure of Eliza Dushku as Faith.
At the center of the shrine, my part 1 poster.
Okay,
It's been
next,
signed by most of the key players behind the making of the original
in this
Friday
corner,
the
what we
13th
have
inception.
are a few more Shout Factory commission pictures for Big Trouble in Little China, Army of Darkness, and Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. I always love that Shout Factory commissions their art prints and makes amazing art prints. So that's something I'm going to miss about that company.
This poster has been around.
Okay, so what we have here are a few figures that I keep on my TV randomly. That is the Xenomorph next to a Raptor, next to the Bat Gremlin from Gremlins 2,
And there's the Friday the
beside
13th
Tobey
section
Maguire's
of
Spider-Man and a Compus Ignatus, or a Compy for short, from Lost World. Okay. So working my way into this corner right here, what we have... Let me actually go a little further up. Okay, perfect. So what we have here is a picture of Paramore from the vinyl that I bought of Riot. Their third album? Yeah, third album. That is a 8x10 of Biff and his gang from Back to the Future, and Ripley with the Sulaco crew from Aliens. I am a vinyl collector. You will see very shortly my vinyl collection. So what we have here are a few more NECAs. That is a NECA Halloween Blood Tears Michael Myers beside Jason from Jason Lives. My absolute favorite variation of Jason, because Jason Lives is a goth rock, punk rock version of the character. And I absolutely love that movie. It is my favorite of the Jason Friday the 13th franchise. And I love that Alice Cooper contributed Man Behind the Mask. It is so punk rock, and it fit Jason entirely. That is a NECA Doc Brown for Back to the Future 1, beside a Rocketeer, Catra for Masters of the Universe, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors Freddy with the Chest of Souls, and below him is a flame display I got from the Friday the 13th Part 2 Jason, the Sackhead Jason, with Linda's head from Evil Dead 2. It made for a nice display, and that's the thing I like about NECA figures sometimes, is the accessories can be combined and kind of utilized for display purposes. Okay, so what we have here is the Lon Chaney Wolfman NECA beside the Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. Well, actually, this is Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man No Way Home. And in his hand is a candy bar from a Gremlin NECA figure. This is my some of my CD collection here. I got 2 shelves of CDs. I still have a few CDs. So these are my Opeth. Actually, technically 3 shelves. So that's Opeth, that's Offspring collection, that's Bon Jovi, and that's Liz Phair. So kind of like punk rock, Swedish punk rock, and rock that I kind of grew up with in like high school, junior high school era. Okay. So working my way over here, what we have is another Frankenstein's art print that is of the Warriors, next to a Cassandra Peterson Elvira. Now, in the front room, I have Pizzale's Walkthrough playing, and in my bedroom, I have Movie Macabre playing, which is Elvira's show. It is Bucket of Blood, so when we get to the bedroom, you will maybe hear some of that. What we have here is a clapboard for Nightmare on Elm Street from Spirit Halloween last year. That is my Trick or Treat Studio stripe with a Chucky hat. beside Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen is my absolute favorite variation of the Spider-Man character. It's literally the same backstory that Peter Parker has in the Spider-Man comics, except it's now told from the perspective of Gwen Stacy, which was his first love. So she gets bit by a spider instead of him, and he winds up being the first person that she ever loved that gets killed. That is a curly mask from Trick or Treat Studios. That is the legendary Curse of Michael Myers pumpkin from Spirit Halloween. That is a Taco Bell Chihuahua plush. And then right down here, what you have are my Tales from the Crypt EC Comics collection. The way I collect my comics is I like to have them in the graphic novel form so they can sit nicely on the bookcase just like this. With some exceptions, there are some comics I have for display purposes that you will see very, very soon. Okay, so what we have here, a few more figures on my TV. Working my way down right here. Okay, so these are my vinyl collections of the vinyls that I call my banger vinyls. So this is where you find everything that I would listen to from beginning to end. Like, these are just those albums where I'm like, you have to have this in your collection. This is Tom Petty. This is Blue Oyster Cult. This is Offspring. This is Alice Cooper. This is soundtracks. This is so much stuff right here, all mixed into one. Prodigy, just all kinds of different stuff that I'm into. And also like one-offs like Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, Michael Jackson's Thriller, East Side Stories, which should actually be the first ones in. Yeah, East Side Story, which is like oldies but goodies, basically. So yeah, those are my banger vinyl albums right there. And then right below here, we have a Deadpool plush beside Marty McFly, Gwen Stacy's Spider-Gwen. I'm not going to lie, you're going to see quite a bit of Spider-Gwen and quite a bit of Captain Marvel as well. Behind them is my box that my Nightmare on Elm Street 4K came in from Warner Brothers right there. I really like the design of that box, and I thought that it looked perfect as a display purpose, so I kept that instead of tossing that box. And that's my Nightmare on Elm Street collection right there. And then that is Funko of Meredith Daniels from The Birds. Melanie Daniels from The Birds. Okay, so what we have here are some DVDs and Blu-rays. It is a collection of documentaries. Those are the DVDs. So it starts with the DVDs, documentaries of Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Batman, and also DC. And then beside that are some superhero Warner Brothers releases. And on the next side here, beside the Buffalo Bill Funko from Silence of the Lambs, is my Marvel, also the Phantom and Dick Tracy. I sometimes double up some of my classic movies right there. And that's beside a Poison Ivy Funko and some of the Marvel shows. And below that is the Fox X-Men movies and also the Sony Spider-Man movies, beside an Agatha Harkins Funko, my Star Wars movies, and then Godzilla, She-Ra, and Ellen Ripley, and also the Alien collection. Okay, just had to take a moment to get some water. Okay, so what we have up here On this Funko shelf, right below that one, is a Rock Candy Marty McFly. Beside the Rust, the Frank Gorshin Riddler, Dirge, Galvatron, and those are from, it's a mix of Earthrise and Legacy collection, and that is Madeline Pryor of X-Men 97, which is basically the evil Jean. Okay, I just say Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time. That little thing right there, that came from Ross of all places, actually. And I really like that shadow box. I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, so let me go up right here, actually. What we have on this shelf, let me get that water onto another shelf to the side of me. Okay, so what we have right here, let me actually go from this corner right here. So these are my Mondo figures. That is Poison Ivy from Batman the Animated Series, next to Peter Parker Spider-Man from the Spider-Man 94 series. That is a Baryonyx from the Jurassic World Hammond collection. That's Owen with Blue Funko. And then that is Jen Erso from Star Wars Rogue One. Maybe the best part of Rogue One was Jen Erso. I liked her as a character. Not really... I'm kind of in between on the whole new Star Wars. Some of it is good, some of it I can barely get through. But Jen Erso is definitely a benefit. I like that character. What we have here are my steel books next to Baby Yoda and my Indicator, which is basically Swedish horror releases, and my Hammer collection. So that is French horror right there. And then on another shelf, you're going to see my Giallos. I'll let you guys know when that comes up. Right here, what we have are my Bruce Lee movies. It's basically like a collection of like favorite actors. So it's Bruce Lee. It is... Okay, so that's Pacific Rim. That is also Gangster Squad, so Emma Stone, Leonardo DiCaprio, Al Pacino in Serpico, and Man with No Name, so Clint Eastwood. And then beside that Jaws, Little People, which is a really nice display piece. I got my True Calling Eliza Dushku series DVD, and that is also my Trauma and my Corman collections from Shout Factory. Trauma, I don't have very much. I have the Toxic Avenger series, and I have Class of Nukem High, which is good stuff. So this here is my movie production reference collection right there. And in those totes, the first one is pictures, and the one below that is files. And I'll just leave it at that. What we have right there is my CD player next to David Bowie's Jareth from Labyrinth, beside Nice Chow from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Funko. That is Kang Plush. And right down here is a second shelf of To Be Read, basically. Some Stephen King. Stephen King is one of my favorite authors. Peter Benchley. That is also Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger's life story book, Pat Benatar's memoir, which I have read, and also The Regulators by Stephen King as Richard Bachman, which I've also read. So that's not a to be read, that is a already read and in my collection. So what we have right here, we have a really awesome RoboCop NECA. Beside the NECA of the Howling Werewolf and the Kotobuyaku Jubilee. Next to a little minifigure of Wonder Woman and a Triceratops like. I think it's like El Diablo or some kind of like Diablo Ceratops or something like that. It's just a really cool Funko, and I like the red design on it. Okay, so what we have right here, this came from my Umbrella release. Umbrella has a cool tendency to put a lot of merchandising with their Blu-rays. So what they did with the Terrifier box set was they put posters and postcards, and also a really thick book, a production book, which you'll see on another shelf. But that is a picture of Lauren Lavera as Sienna Shaw from Terrifier 2. She's my favorite modern horror final girl. Okay, what we have here is Jeff. Jeff from Marvel Rivals. We have a Ghostbusters sign. And then right there we have a Tom Petty poster. Underneath, a plush of Sam from Trick or Treat and Elvira, his girlfriend. And that is Linda Carter Wonder Woman. Below my The Thing poster. I do love mini posters because I feel you can get more space out of mini posters, but I do have some bigger ones as well, as you will soon see. Alright, so this is one of my desk right here. This one is what I call my podcasting desk, because this is where I would film my podcast, and this is also like where I eat, so it's like my kitchen table as well too. Beside a couple of figures here, so that is my Hot Toys of Captain Marvel. As I said, Captain Marvel is one of my favorite Marvel characters as well, besides She-Ra from Masters of the Universe. That is Leatherface Bobblehead beside the Brain Gremlin NECA. From NECA, I do have a lot of their Gremlins, because Gremlins is one of my favorite movies as well. That is a plush of Scarlet Witch and a Happy Face Hugger. Okay, and then what we have right here is the NECA Nada figure from They Live, beside Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Alright everybody, chill. And under that is a retro Skywarp from the Transformers. Couple little guys right there. A Crypt Keeper bust. Mini bust, which looks pretty awesome, and I like to keep that close by there. And this is a little bit more of my CDs. This one is what I would call banger CDs by year. That's not artist. So these are just random, like, soundtracks. And just like a few banger albums, where it's just like you put this on and listen to it from beginning to end. That's what I define as a banger. Right over here, we have a Marvel figure of Gambit, and that is the black-suited Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3. Okay, we're gonna work our way up. Up. So right here, what we have is, as I said, that is Paramore from the vinyl of Riot. It was a really cool picture, and I was really surprised to find that in my vinyl, so I framed it. That is a Medusa sign, well, I'll call it a Medusa plaque, that I recently got from Spirit Halloween. I was really glad that they did a lot more Medusa art print, and I was glad to add that to my collection because it looks pretty awesome right where it is. Beside that is a picture of the villains from the Batman movie, the Adam West Batman movie from the 60s. That is Lee Merriweather, not Julie Newmar, as Catwoman, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, and Cesar Romero as the Joker. Underneath that is a little minifigure of John Kassir and the Crypt Keeper puppet. John Kassir does the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and that is from the episode All's Well That Ends Well from Season 6. So, across this little easel right here, I have my strobe lights, a couple of my Power Ranger figures. I like these Auto Morpher figures because you press a button on their belt and they basically go from Power Ranger to human form. I really like that design of figure, so I try my best to collect those ones of the team. That is Warbird from Marvel. Really cool figure, and she's kind of like Pixie. She's like a variation of like their Pixie character, because I haven't really seen like a really good Pixie figure yet. Okay, so a few more Power Rangers. That is a Tom Petty 8x10 that I found in my debut Tom Petty vinyl. Again, I found it, I thought it was awesome, and I framed it. That's Captain America. That is a picture of Ray Parker Jr. on the set of the Ghostbusters music video with the Ghostbusters. All but Ernie Hudson are in that photo, which is awesome. That is the original team before Ernie Hudson had joined. That is a Mirage figure from Transformers Rise of the Beast. That is Sonya and Sonya. Okay, so that is a Wonder Woman shield. That is Wolverine in a Home Depot bucket, a little mini Home Depot bucket that we were selling this year. So I work as a cashier at Home Depot, so when I saw those buckets, I grabbed a couple for myself for display purposes, and I think I have successfully used those in my space. That's a Gizmo mask from Spirit Halloween. That's Demona NECA from the cartoon series Gargoyles. That's Retro Jason hockey mask that I bought this year from Spirit Halloween. That is Wanda from the Captain America Civil War movie. And that is Lady Loki right there in Eternal Battle beside my Halloween Advent calendar from Spirit Halloween and the Angela NECA Gargoyle figure. And that is another Captain Marvel, Eevee from Pokemon, another bucket, another mask. That is the Season of the Witch from Halloween 3. And that is a retro Dracula mask beside a Nightbreed poster. We have right here, that is Kate Bishop, played by Haley Seinfeld, from the Hawkeye TV series, beside a variation of the Batgirl character. That's my favorite design of Batgirl. Beside 3 of my VHS displays. I have some VHSs that I use for display purposes. You will see those on the shelves. Okay, so what I have here is a picture. Let me actually go right here. Okay, so that is me with my high school buddy Patrick and his wife, Mary, from their wedding day. And then that's a ticket to one of Patrick's concerts at The Wire. He is a musician and an awesome musician. That's my buddy Patrick. That is my friend Whitney, who I befriended when I was at UNLV same as Danielle. That is a picture of Marty McFly from Back to the Future 1, where he's disappearing and reappearing. I found that in my Back to the Future production book. And that is me with the DeLorean from when the LA Philharmonic did a Back to the Future concert a few years ago. Thank you, Whitney, for taking that picture of me, by the way. Okay. So what I have here is an Elvira Haunted Hills commission poster from Shout Factory, same as the Nightbreed one. That is one of my many just like awards from Home Depot, like little shout outs for doing a good job, and it just reminds me of how valuable a person that I am to the company. I'm just a cashier right now, but I have importance, you know, and that is always something good to know, that a company appreciates me, because Home Depot definitely appreciates me a lot more than Walmart ever did. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, that is a Tales from the Crypt kind of like FOMO display that I got from Frankenstein's. So I really like the green and the Crypt Keeper's eyes on that. It kind of reminds me, it gives off very much Demon Knight vibes. And I'm so glad that I, after like 30 years after its release, I was finally able to see Demon Knight for the first time on a big screen last week. Because Regal did the Regal Screams event, and they had, among other movies, Demon Knight and Army of Darkness in their events. So I was glad to see those two. Now, I did see Demon Knight for the first time on VHS because I was too young to really know what Tales from the Crypt was. So I never got to see that in theaters. So seeing that 30 years later was awesome. So I'm really glad that Regal chose that movie in particular, and Army of Darkness too. So what we have right here is a really big Devastator. Probably the best, most solid Devastator display that I have seen. Actually, so I'm glad to have that one in my collection. That is from the Studio Series line of the Constructicons, and that's how they look like when they're combined. That is an angel statue behind that, and that's a few little figures. There you go, Scarlet Witch. Now you're facing the right way. Okay, and then right there, Xena Warrior Princess from the Simpsons line. That is an alien egg beside Art the Cloud the Terrifier. Those alien eggs came from a display that Danielle got me for either Christmas or birthday a few years back. So I wound up losing the egg crate that they came in, but the eggs themselves were perfect for displays, and that is Baby Terrifier Art the Clown that I got from Spirit Halloween. That is Retro Soundwave, one of my favorite Transformers. Right there, beside Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, Ellen Ripley, America Chavez from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. One of many, that is Elvira. Elvira is a legend and my favorite horror hostess. That is beside NECA, Back to the Future, Marty McFly, Spider-Gwen, T-101 Arnie from Terminator, Xenomorph, and Nemesis Prime pulling off the "You Shall Not Pass" right there with a Gandalf sign behind him.
And that concludes my updated Mancave tour.
Okay. And that's my ride or die Roxetta sleeping. All the other cats must be inside the bedroom. It's very slowly going to move you around right there. So what I have on this display here is my script reference book section right here. So this is script references moving down. That is a NECA L-Virus still in box. So movie reference section by the Tom Atkins action figure from Night of the Creeps that Shout Factory commissioned. A few more of my reference books, some screenplays, Avril Lavigne, Funko CD collection. Now, I have a few Avril Lavigne's. I really appreciate Avril Lavigne for the Let Go album because I was a senior in high school when that album came out. So when I think of the Avril Lavigne Let Go album, I think of senior year high school. That is my Frankenstein mask from Trick or Treat Studios, besides some of my screenwriting and costuming reference books. I am also, aside from a RadTech student, radiology student, a writer as well. That is a Wolfman mask right there, also from Trick or Treat Studios. And those are my VetTech books, VetTech reference section from when I was a VetTech student at Carrington College. Okay.
I'm like half and half. Like, I love action movies, but I also love horror movies. I'm deep into horror.
And that is now Mel from My Killer Podcast talking about her physical media collection. One of my playlists is basically like a collection of just walkthroughs and content that I use to kind of inspire myself to get ideas to do collections like this to make my man cave what it is now. So I really like to just play that and kind of give myself ideas. Because sometimes a home is basically a reflection of who you are, and it takes many, many, many times to really express what you want to express about who you are. This is my Ghostbusters and Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. Those are probably the best Ghostbuster figures that are out there right now. They look like the people they're supposed to look like. Behind those are some alien NECA figures. That is Brett and Ash. It's hard to see. Well, you can kind of see him next to Donatello NECA right there. And then a few more. Casey Jones with Raph NECA, Leonardo, Quint NECA, a couple little minifigs right there, and Shredder, Retro Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line.
Encapsulates the nostalgia for me now. Being an adult
Okay.
and looking at the world.
So what we have here is my really cool RoboCop mini poster right there. I used to have some Transformer figures right there beneath him, but I recently moved those ones into my bedroom to kind of condense the space down and put other stuff in there. That Art the Clown and Pale Girl came from Frankensons, commissioned artwork. The artist also did a design on the back for me specifically, so that's something very, very important to me. Okay, so what I have here is my books and a little picture of Danielle right there. So that is my Alien collection, the first 3 volumes, and some little Goosebump books.
And I'm going to replace my VHSs because DVD players became
So right down here, what we have are my... I'm going to turn this light off actually right there because it's creating a glare. Okay, so that is my Evil Dead Blu-ray collection right there. Beside Thanksgiving and Grindhouse. Beside a Supernatural Charlie figure. who was played by Felicia Day. Felicia Day is one of my favorite actresses as well. And that is Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. That's the Titanosaurus from Jurassic World Rebirth. That is Lobo from DC. And that is my actual VHS of The Haunted Mask. So that's retro. That's as retro as you can get right there. Right here I have a few of my DVDs beside my Stephen King and my Chucky collection right there. And that is Bumpy from the Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous series, besides some slime. You cannot go wrong with some plasma slime. Okay, so what I have right here in this CD collection is my Tom Petty and Depeche Modes right there. So I keep those ones close to my desk. And in this little Lego right here, what I have is Black Panther, the King of Wakanda, with Elvira Lego. So the King of Wakanda found his mistress of the dark. We'll put that guy back right there. And what we're going to do is work our way back over here. Couple little Funkos right there. So that is the black suited Spider-Man beside Jeffries from Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. Hitchcock is one of my favorite directors, and that is Luke Skywalker with Baby Yoda. We're going to make our way up here. So what we have is a Blood Tears Michael mask with an OG Jason Hawk. That is the Ben Affleck Batman mask. And behind that is a Jaws mini poster from when it was released in 3D a couple years ago. That is an Amazing Spider-Man 2 plush. That is very significant to me because that's from Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that came out when I moved from Vegas, because I lived in Vegas for 9 years, back to California in 2014, because I moved to Vegas in 2005. So I was in Vegas for 9 years. I was born and raised in West Covina, moved to Vegas, and then I moved back to Covina. And now I'm Californian again and no longer a Las Vegas citizen. And that is a really awesome commission poster from Gutter Garbs for Batman 1989. I really love that poster. That thing just pops, so it stays behind my desk. That is my fortune teller sign from Spirit Halloween. That's a few of my high school buddies, Oscar, Andy, James, and James's cousin, Nikki.
Another reason why I collect VHSs now.
That is Malcolm McDowell and Lori Petty from Tank Girl. That also was an Umbrella release, so they had their little mini postcards that I framed. That is a Leatherface mask beside an anime girl that Andy gave me, beside a Michelangelo and a Captain America with Mew Mew and his broken shield from Endgame. That's the White Ranger, so another Power Ranger figure right there. That Universal Monsters display, that came from a display that Walmart was throwing out, and I appropriated it for myself. I worked for Walmart for like 6 years, and I'm glad I got away from that company because that company is horrible to their employees. I don't know why I stayed there 6 years, to be honest. I had convinced myself that I couldn't find anything better. and that was a mistake. I'm glad that I learned from that mistake, and I won't ever do that again to myself because I deserve better. Okay, that is a Wolverine mask beside a punk rock Spider-Man. That is a Tiger Electronics Jurassic Park game. I have a Transformers one behind my TV set up. That's an Elm Street sign. That is a Area 51 Nevada sign. That's an Umbrella mini postcard from Super Mario Brothers 1993. They did a really awesome release of Super Mario Brothers 1993. Umbrella did. It's the best release I've seen for that movie. A lot more than that movie deserved because they did the work print release. So that was a labor of love to really make that possible. Because not a people appreciate Super Mario Brothers for what it is. 1993, I would have been 9 years old and really into like Jurassic Park, so that was an awesome movie for me. So it's a nostalgic love for me, and I really appreciated that the producers just really got together and made that work print release finally come out on physical media to own for people like me. Okay, so what I have here is a mini poster of Helen Slater as Supergirl and an alternate poster for Labyrinth beside a mini poster of Dread 3D. Couple little mini figures right there being supportive for my lamp. I love lamp. Okay, so what I have here are my Tales from the Crypt DVDs beside a Spirit Halloween Crypt Keeper bust. Beside a Grim Reaper that one of my friends from Home Depot designed and gave to me. He made that himself. He's a really talented person. My friend Louie. That is my Big Trouble in Little China VHS. That is an Elvira cup. Those are a couple of Funkos right there. Working my way down. That's my Superman VHS. That is an Elvira comic book. That is a set photo of Lance Henriksen with Bill Paxton and the actor who played Drake. Okay, a couple little Funkos out of the box right here. That is the Creep from Creepshow inside of a Ghostbusters trap holding a VHS of Late Night with the Devil that Umbrella released. As I said, Umbrella is a really good company because they understand that collectors want more than just a movie. They want bells and whistles extras, so they give posters, they give mini cards, they license out merch. And that is why physical media will never die. When companies understand that collectors want merch, and they want extras, and they want stuff to really make collecting worthwhile. Because we like displays. So I really love that VHS. Okay, so right over here we got young Bruce Lee beside the Ray Arnold figure Legacy Amber collection from Jurassic Park. That is Chief Brody Funko still in box. Freddy Krueger and Johnny Depp from Freddy's Dead set photo. That is the Holiday Spider-Man right there. Beside the mask that I used to call my Star Fox Legendary Outlaw mask. I used to use that in YouTube videos where I was trying to sing. I thought it was awesome. And he stays right there in a Jaws popcorn bucket right now. Harley Quinn right there, Margot Robbie version. Beside the Funko of Scar with the Hyenas from Lost World and the retro Mind Wipe figure from Transformers. What we have here on this shelf is kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff, to be honest. That is Toonie Terrors, Chucky and Tiffany still in box. That is Mario. That's Onyx knocking things over. Hey, Onyx. I have 4 cats, so the other 2 are probably sleeping in my bedroom right now, so we'll see them soon. Okay, so those are Universal Classic postcards that came with my Universal Classics DVD, Blu-ray, and I kept those and framed them because they looked really awesome collected like that. Okay, so we have some Gremlin figures. Those are the Demolition Gremlins from NECA. Those are Funkos of the Flasher and the 3D Gremlin from Gremlins. That is the Retro Mirage and Scarlet from G.I. Joe. Beside a Stanley figure, Bart Simpson, Butthead from Beavis and Butthead, and the little Fright Scope that Fright Rags did. I have the Stephen King collection in that little slot right there, and that just reminds me of when I was a kid and I had a little picture viewer thing. That was awesome. Okay, and that's another Elvira comic. As I said, they make really good display pieces sometimes, so that's why I have that there. Cesar Romero bobblehead, Grady twins from The Shining, Retro Raph Morphine, that's the Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Superman inside of the Batwing retro figure right there, Jason Hockey Mask Light beside the Alien Light from Spirit Halloween with Chucky and Thor, hodgepodge of little figurines and other things right there to kind of flesh out that bottom shelf. Okay, let's actually go up right here. So this is my display that's usually behind me for when I do like my podcasting videos right there. That is the Raiders of the Lost Ark poster, the classic design. That always stays behind me there because I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, a few more little figures right there. NECA figures, Alien Queen in purple design. Let's see. The Pinhead bobblehead beside a rock candy Catwoman. Right here, the NECA Spider Gremlin, Spider Mohawk with the Mogwais from Gremlins 2. The NECA did Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus is one of my favorite Jurassic Park dinos. Another fairy statue. And right here, this collection of movies right here are basically banger titles. So from the top, it is Kino Lorber with Arrow. And then at the bottom here, we have Shout Factories. Okay, so what we have here, this is my Universal Classic Monsters Blu-ray collection. Next to an Avril Funko. Beside James Bond. And then right there, those are the Hammer Horror collection. That's Arrow. Oh no, that's Italian horror. That's Italian Giallo. Beside the Funko of Maleficent and my Studio Ghibli's. Beside a Goose Flurkin from Captain Marvel with the Tesseract. A few more of my reference books. Next to a really retro Crypt Keeper cup from Not Scary Farm. way back in like 2000 or 1998. 1998. It had to have been like 1998 when I went to that Not Scary Farm, because that was the one that Tales from the Crypt, Crypt Keeper, and Elvira were part of. So that had to have been like 98, 97-ish. Okay, so that is Kevin Smith Funko. Next to Perceptor. Next to Christopher Reeve Clark Kent Superman. Next to Doc Ock. Next to Shockwave Funkos. And a few more reference books beside my Barnes & Noble Classic collections. And Carly Beth NECA figure from Trick or Treat Studios. Ironhide and Ratchet figures from the current Transformers Studio Series wave. Next to Captain Marvel, and another plush of the Taco Bell Chihuahua. Right over here is my Stephen King collection, which is behind my podcasting disc. And a few more Funkos right there. Okay, so what I have here, let's start right here actually. So that is my Welcome to Vegas sign that I got during my 40th birthday in Las Vegas last year. And that's next to the Dogma figures from Dogma. So that is Bartleby and Loki, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Next to an Alan Grant Funko. And the Mosasaurus from Jurassic World. Okay, so those are minifigures of Two-Face and the Riddler and a bronze Stan Lee beside the Kotobukiya Batwoman. That is the Legacy Brachiosaur from Jurassic Park. I love that figure. Those are a few little loose Funkos next to Mr. Terrific. Beside my Rebirth popcorn bucket. Man, that light died out, so I really need to turn that off because that is dead right there. But on the inside, I also put comic book guy from The Simpsons and Vasquez and Hudson from Aliens, because I thought it would make a really cool display right there. And those are a few more little Funkos. Harley Quinn, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight tape, Jack Burton from Big Trouble Little China, Hatching Velociraptor, Wonder Woman, Doctor Strange, and the Ghostbusters. Okay, now, continuing on, because I just want to make sure I turned off that light since the battery already died out. So what I have, we'll start over here. What I have in this one is my popcorn bucket from Superman 2025. Inside that I put a plush of Crypto and of Goose from Captain Marvel, because it looked awesome that he would be trying to save them in the bucket. And behind Superman is the Flasher Gremlin, NECA. And that is a minifigure of the Val Kilmer Batman next to the Gremlins tape. Gremlins soundtrack tape. Those are my Captain Marvels. Also my Spider-Gwens. And my Doctor Stranges. And that is a Roddy Piper Hot Rod wrestler figure. Beside Frank Langella as a Skeletor. And Thundercracker with Mew Mew. Okay, so what I have here is my Marvel. This is the Venom comics right here. Next to a Venom Funko right there. And that is David Cornsweat Superman inside of the Kaiju figure. So right here what we have are a few random Transformer figures. Next to some random Funkos. That is Randy Savage facing off with Captain Planet. Ash from Evil Dead facing off with Mr. Sinister from the X-Men. And Blade as the referee. That is Starla, my kitten. Hey, Starla. Okay. That is the big poster for RoboCop right there. I really like that display. Because right next to it, I have my Gremlins 2 Mogwais. That's Daffy. And that is Mohawk. I'm one of the few people that really loves Gremlins 2. Because 1990 when that came out, I would have been 8 years old. And I wore the hell out of that VHS. No, I would have been 6 years old. Yeah, Yeah, I would have been. I would have been like 6 years old at that time. Okay. So yeah, that is Daffy and Mohawk, my two favorite Mogwais. Next to Sheriff Freddy and another Taco Bell plush. That is the third and last of my Taco Bell plushes. Next to a Brownie Sheriff Freddy mask from Trick or Treat Studios. Next to the VHS for Dream Warriors. And a couple little guys. Oh, and Daffy is holding a Spider-Man mask because he is Spider-Man. Okay. So what I have here is the Haunted Mask from the Goosebumps episode, The Haunted Mask. That is from Trick or Treat Studios. Halloween 2 Pumpkin from Spirit Halloween. Baby Leatherface from Spirit Halloween as well. A few little plushes. Wolfman, Ash, Captain Marvel, Enid from Wednesday. Bro Thor, and Freddy Walker. Those are my Marvel production books. Marvel does art of books for their movies. I collected a few of them for like behind the scenes references. So those are my Marvel master works for The Amazing Spider-Man and the Avengers. Next to an Eddie Funko from Stranger Things and a plush Mosasaur. A few little magazines there. Next to a Star-Lord mask that has another LED light on the inside, and some Cinefix magazines, my favorite Cinefix issues. I have another display you'll see shortly that has all of my Cinefix magazines. I used to love Cinefix before that company went under during COVID and never reopened. Cinefix used to be my go-to for backstage production information because that was not the actors talking about the backstage, but the producers, the artists, all the stuff that make the movies work. You know, that make the movies what we see. The people that put their time and effort to really make a production work. That is the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaur. Next to the baby T-Rex. My Halloween 2 movie case. That is its home. It doesn't have a shelf because this is just a dedicated spot for my Halloween. It's a 3-piece collection I basically put together. So it's Halloween, the TV cut. It is Halloween 2, my favorite of the Halloween sequels, even though a lot of people don't like that idea of Laurie Strode being Michael Myers' sister and the movie has since been retconned multiple times, I still love Halloween 2 because I felt it continued the vibes of the first Halloween, but it added another layer to it to make Michael Myers more than just a random killer, to make it more personal. And I really like that about Halloween 2. And then I also have inside there Halloween 4. So it's Halloween the TV cut, which is the best version to see of Halloween because of the stuff they added in. Halloween 2, 1981, and also Halloween 4, which is the best trilogy for Halloween, the Michael Myers version. If they had just kept it at that, and then let the next movies be about Jamie Lloyd, I think the Halloween franchise could have been better. I love the Halloween franchise. It's not that I don't like it. It's sometimes a mess to get through because you have your goods and your bads, kind of like the same as like with the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. You have your goods and your bads. Or like really any franchise. You know, it's just Halloween has multiple convoluted timelines. So sometimes trying to talk about your favorite Halloween is a mess. And that's an Egyptian eagle. Okay, so what I have here, this is the display where I would normally put my vinyls that are playing. So it's like a now playing section for my vinyls right there. Next to another Egyptian display with the female gremlin Greta from Gremlins 2. And a little minifigure of Bo-Katan from Star Wars. That's my Kevin Smith collection of DVDs right there. That is also my DVD of Stand By Me and my comedies. So Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, and Weird Al. And that's the Superman cup right there. Next to a Tales from the Crypt VHS display. Okay, so these are more of my arrows right here. So this goes in alphabetical order here. And these little figures that I have as spacers in between are Ben Cooper figures. I really like the retro look of those. So some of those ones I keep in box because of the retro feel. The only one I ever took out was the Batgirl one, which is by Devastator. And then that is Blue Underground right there. So that's Criterion releases right there. Gojira, Jaws, Kino Lorber right here with Terror Vision. This right here is Second Sight. Next to Shout Factory and Umbrella. As I said, Terrifier book is right there with the 2 books that they did for Super Mario Brothers. That is Vestron. And then that right there is Vinegar Syndrome. Okay. And then that is my Back to the Future poster and my Aliens poster, as I said. #1 favorite movie and my favorite sequel together in that corner. As I said, mini posters, they're really great for display purposes for that specific reason. Okay, so what we have here is mini poster for Last Action Hero next to Elijah Dushku 8x10. Next to a to read pile. So we'll go to this corner right here. The DVDs and Blu-rays. What this is my kind of like my favorites of like the newer releases. So that's basically like a newer release greatest hits right there. Beside concert DVDs, Goosebump DVDs, and just a few, the last little corner of like random DVDs. And that is my Jaws 50 cup right there. This desk is what I would call my study desk right here. When I am going to be back in school at Mount Sac in the radiology department, this will be the desk that I study from. Of course, the little figures are going to be moved elsewhere, and this is just going to be the desk where I can just buckle down and study. And a few of the figures right here. Okay, this video is getting kind of extendedly long, so I'll just show them instead of explaining who they are. Pretty much, more or less, we can kind of figure out where things are right here. That's Darth Vader. That is my Good Guy Constructicon box. That's my sign for Cwrproductions Mancave. Next to the Phantom and the random gremlin from Gremlins. And that's a picture of James Cameron with the Alien Queen. Cwrproductions is what I call my man cave. My hat collection right there. A few little figures right there. Okay, so that's another little print from Frankensons right there of the Crypt Keeper. As I said, they basically do vendor work there. So all this stuff I get at Frankensons, this is an artist who took the time and effort to really make something unique. And anything I get from there that's from an artist, I appreciate. Okay, so a few little figures up here. Again, Elektra. She is an inspiration in my life and somebody I'm grateful to have met, because I don't think I would have known about intelligent women like Danielle or Sonia or Sabrina if it wasn't for Elektra finding her way into my life. So I appreciate that about her for being my muse and letting me know there are intelligent women in this world. Okay, so that is The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe. I call it The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe because that's what it feels like to me. That's the vibes I get off of that. That came from Spirit Halloween this year. Denise Richards from Wild Things. That is a Superman cutout display that I got from Home Depot when we did our success sharing. They had a superhero theme, so our break room had a lot of like superhero stuff. So instead of throwing out the displays after, they left it open for us to grab. So I grabbed me a Superman and I grabbed an Iron Man. That is Billy Zane as the collector from Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. Okay, let's work our way over here. So a few more hardcover Goosebumps right there. Next to a retro Crypt Keeper. Scream symbiote with Yondu Marvel Legends figure. Let me fix this right there. Okay, Buffy, you and Indiana Jones. It's gonna take a few. Okay, that'll work. That took a few minutes right there. Okay, so that's Buffy with Indiana Jones, Flash Gordon, Kotobuyaku, Kitty Pryde, Cosmo from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Scarlet Witch, Shadow Crasher, I believe from Transformers, Kotobuyaku, Wonder Girl, Dennis Nedry with Dilophosaurus. And that is Loungefly. Yeah, Loungefly VHS display of Friday the 13th Part 3. I did not really consider, not the worst, but also not the best in the Friday the 13th franchise, Friday the 13th Part 3, until Regal did a showing of this one this month in 3D, the way it was meant to be seen, and I saw it in theaters, and I got a deeper appreciation for what Friday the 13th was supposed to be. Friday the 13th Part 3 specifically. Because without the 3D, it just gives a different vibe. When you have the 3D working in it, it's the full scope of the picture. So I'm really grateful to have been able to see Friday the 13th Part 3D in actual 3D. Okay, so some retro Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Belle from Wreck-It Ralph 2. And then retro Ghostbusters as well. And a Toonie Terrors Elvira. Next to a NECA of Penny Mogwai. And then that is Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox from the Dark Knight Christopher Nolan trilogy. That's a mini poster of Assault on Precinct 13. Another one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. John Carpenter is my favorite director. That is my vinyl player right there in a suitcase. I really like that suitcase design right there. And those are my other collection of vinyls right there. Top one is Mondo. The ones beneath it is like my Black Sabbath, Violet Femmes, a few Alice Coopers, just the kind of random ones that aren't necessarily bangers, but deserve their own spot too. And also Rolling Stones as well. Hey, Roxana! Okay, so Arnold Schwarzenegger Last Action Hero mini poster right there. Eliza Dushku. Ghostbusters rug. That is my Bates Motel rug. Turbo Man figure. Ghostbusters Neutrino 1. Princess Belle Belle. My middle cat right there. Next to a Gates of Hell mini poster right there. As I said, that's Laura Lavera as Sierra Shaw from the Terrifier 2. Hook and Scrapper Retro Transformer Constructicon figures. My DeLoreans and the Batmobile. It really doesn't show that well. Robotics Hannibal Lecter. Dinobots from the Studio Series line. Besides some Dobies, some Dorbs, and a Indiana Jones with Boulder, Funko, few more reference books, beside Babam from Super Mario, Shout Factory 4Ks with only Blu-rays on the inside because the 4Ks are in jewel cases in a spot because I don't have a 4K player yet. I just like the slipcases on these ones, so I keep those together. And eventually when I get a 4K, I will take the Blu-rays out and put the 4Ks into the boxes. Favorite movies of all time right here, next to some Pokemon. I'm not going to go through each of the titles. You can kind of tell by looking at this point because it's getting late. And this video is going to be like 2 hours by the time I'm done. Okay, so what do we have here? This is my kitchen sink right here. Let me go one up, actually. Those are the Spider-Man No Way Home Funkos. So, Mysterio, Tom Holland, Spider-Man. That is Tobey Maguire next to him, beside Doc Ock, the Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman. That is the Lizard, and that is Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. Beside tapes for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers debut album and Bon Jovi debut album. And a few Funkos in box. Eliza Dushku, Celebrity Crush. My first Celebrity Crush. Studio Ghibli. Postcards for Kiki's Delivery Service. And that's another one of those ones. I think that one was Howl's Moving Castle. Terrifier mini right there. Terrifier 2 poster. Ani with the Crypt Keeper. Danielle. And that's another Elvira NECA beside the Michael Keaton Batman from The Flash and my Universal Monsters NECAs beside Ash NECA, Ghostface McCready, and the T-101 from Dark Fate, or as he's called in the movie, Carl. Laura La Vieira as Sierra Shaw. Once again, I think she is probably my favorite modern final girl. Because Ripley would probably be my favorite. And that's a mini poster for The Fog. It's kind of like a reference section right here that I keep on my kitchen sink, and a little mini 8x10 of the Ghostbusters Newsweek poster from the movie. Okay, so that's like a reference section of like memoirs, basically. So Alison Dubois, which was the inspiration for the show Medium, Felicia Day, her memoir, Cassandra Peterson, her memoir, and a few other kind of memoir-ish books. So it's like the memoir section, which is next to Max from Stranger Things, and a few little Simpsons and a Ghost Spider figure. Next to a Halloween 2 8x10 news article from after Halloween 2. That is my mug collection right there. A few little they were basically like kind of like the cardboard cutout that I have by my desk of the Crypt Keeper. Those came from Frank & Sons. They basically came off from the little cork background, so I took them apart and made them into something else. Kind of like a little like poster section right there. Another Eliza Dushku. Okay, so right here, what I love about these little posters, these ones to me, I like the borders on them. That's why I keep these specific ones together. So Dawn of the Dead, Batman 66, Evil Dead. I like the white borders on those posters. They just kind of flow together, and even the Fog has the little white border too, and the Mutilator. So that's why those specific posters stay together the way they are. Okay, working our way towards the bedroom. So what we have here is the Demolition Man mini poster from the Arrow release. Couple little postcards right there. Commissioned Constructicon picture. Little mini poster of the Constructicons. They are my favorite Decepticon team, and I really like the look of it. It's got the artist signature on it. It just feels like a good display piece to have next to these figures. That is Curse of Michael with Thor Ragnarok, Optimus Prime Popcorn Bucket, Mondo, Venom, best look of Venom that I know because that's the animated series I grew up on. Fairy figure. Okay, that is Sackhead Jason from Friday 13th Part 2. Next to Pamela Voorhees, NECA. Next to the sign from Halloween 6. And a few little Transformers right here. Ultra Magnus, Cup, Hot Rod, Optimus Prime, the leader, Blaster, Hooper, and the swimsuit from Jaws. So what we have right here is Starlight from The Boys, 2025, Marty McFly, Coronation Starscream behind Megatron, Springer, RC. Dark Phoenix with Logan. You know Logan, he's always sipping for that gene. Okay, and then up here, Captain America with his girl Peggy. Okay. And that is Sabrina with Elektra. So right here, this was something really cool I wanted to do with these posters right here. So it's kind of like the old with the new. I think that the Richard Donner Superman movie is the best blueprint for how to do a superhero movie right. I've always felt that way. Superman is my favorite superhero movie of all time. This new Superman, the David Cornsweet version, I feel is the continuation. It's the best way to look at it. Like, I like that this Superman movie did not waste time getting into like an origin story, because you already know the origin of Superman if you've seen the Richard Donner ones. So I like to see those two movies as companions to each other. You can't have one without the other. And I really like where this Superman went, because I feel the David Cornsweet Superman is closer to the animated series Superman that I grew up watching, and also some of like the Superman, modern Superman comics. Kind of like the Alex Ross, I think, is like one of like the main artists that gets mentioned for Superman. So I think that James Gunn really put Superman in a solid place. And I know like there's like a merger thing going on with Warner Brothers right now, so I really hope that there are plans to keep Superman, the current DC Superman, going, because I want to know more about that one. And that is a mini poster for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of my favorite movies from when I was younger. I kind of feel like you get to know a person from the posters that they choose to put up. For me, the posters aren't just like, oh, this is a random poster or something that I like. It's something that's meaningful to me. Like this one here, commissioned artwork for Transformers the movie from Shout Factory. Transformers the movie, one of like the first VHSs that I ever got, along with Jaws. I wore the hell out of that VHS, so that is significant to me. Okay, and then Jurassic Park. That is from a McDonald's display when they had the Jurassic Park promo in 1993. Pin collection right there. I'm going to have to start a new cork board soon, because that's pretty much going to be as full as that gets. Up there we have my Marvel novelizations with a Scarlet Witch Funko and a Superman and an Ant-Man display from a Walmart display that was being thrown out, so a friend of mine was able to snag that for me. Creepshow mini poster next to my favorite variation of the Ghostface mask, which is the devil face from Dead by Daylight. Cassandra Peterson canvas. They Live mini poster next to the axe from The Shining. Fluffy from Creepshow. Super Mario. Doctor Strange. Shock Suspense Stories. Cover of the Tales from the Crypt episode of Four-Sided Triangle, which had Patricia Arquette. Late Night with the Devil mini poster. Crypt Keeper from Spencer Halloween. Spirit Halloween from a few years back. My friend Brittany Bircher with John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. So I'm really glad to have at least that, even though I never got to meet the Crypt Keeper. I'm glad that she did, and she was able to share that with me. So I have that for myself. Let's go up here. So up here we have the Tomorrow Never Dies VHS, Pierce Brosnan, my favorite, James Bond. Judith Meyer's Tombstone from Spirit Halloween. That is Charmander with my Gizmo hat from high school era. My washer dryer, no home is not complete without a washer dryer. Yeah, I flared it up, but it's mine. It's mine. I was grateful to have a washer dryer in this place after like 9 years of not having a washer dryer and having to use laundromats. So yeah. Okay. These 3D glasses, for me, they are from Joe and Sean of Movie Dumpster, another podcast that I follow. They did a watch along for Freddy's Dead, and they offered these 3D glasses to their patrons if they wanted them. And I did want a pair, as part of the collection. But I asked them if they would mind signing it for me before they sent it, and they gratefully obliged. So that's something that I have from the Movie Dumpster Boys, is their signatures on some Freddy's Dead 3D glasses, which is awesome. Okay, and that's a little striped plushie. As you probably have noticed, I have a lot of those just kind of all over the place. Danielle, Sabrina, Electra, Sonia. They are my best ladies. They inspire me to just be the best me. And I love those ladies for that. Okay, so this is classic mini poster for Deep Blue Sea from Arrow Video. Captain America Salute You mini poster with a little bloodstain sticker that I got from a Friday the 13th, kind of like clingy sticker patch. It just stuck really well onto there, and it just worked because of like the Avengers theme. Let me actually go back over here real quick because I want to hit up this guy right here. So as I had mentioned, there was this place called Icons of Darkness that used to be in LA that had like movie props basically. So when I went with Oscar and Andy, I took a whole bunch of pictures there, and this is just a compilation of what I took, like some of like the best of the best, and I just made it into this display right there, and that's where it's been. Okay, that's a canvas for Lori and Michael from Spirit Halloween, beside a Pennywise sign for the Fun House, which is my bedroom. We'll get there. We're almost done. Okay, that's a Tank Girl mini poster from Umbrella. And a Gremlins mini poster. Gremlins 2 mini poster. Okay. So this is like the 4 square of awesome posters right here. You got Die Hard. You got Nightmare on Elm Street. That one came from the Warner 4K release. That's by my TV. So this is Jurassic Park 3D. So that's when they converted it into 3D. And the Demon Knight. I put those two together because those were just two things that in the 90s that I was really into, was Jurassic Park and Tales from the Crypt. And then we have Arnie mini poster, Terminator, and Halloween 4. My second favorite sequel of the Halloween franchise. That is my bigger Infinity War poster. So not... That one's like a 27 by 40-ish. What we have right here, those are the water zombies from Creepshow. That is Venom facing off with Bane, facing off with He-Man and Skeletor, and Wreck-Gar from the Transformers is in between as the MC. Okay, a few more of my Shout factory release posters right here. Night of the Creeps commission poster. Return of the Living Dead. Ash vs. Evil Dead. Promotional for the show. Bubba Hotep. Nightmare on Elm Street. That's from the Warner Brothers 4K release. That is from the Batman Forever vinyl. Just another little thing that I found inside the vinyl that I thought would look good framed. A couple little figures right here. Toothless and Goose. Those are my shoulder pets. Toothless, I take him to the movies with me. He just sits on my shoulder and he is my movie critic. Just a little kind of like a fun little thing that I got from Regal this year when they had the reboot of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version. They were selling them at the concession stand and I got him and I flared him up with the Eye of Agamotto. So now he is my movie critic buddy that I go to the movies with. Right over here, Adam West Batman, maybe my favorite Batman, if not Michael Keaton. Deadpool and Wolverine in box still. Next to Christopher Reeve, Superman in box. Next to the retro star screen for the Bumblebee movie. And that is Zarana from G.I. Joe next to Lady J. Next to a mohawk that Danielle got me for Christmas a couple years ago. And that's where this guy sits. She really appreciates my love of Gremlins, so that was her way of letting her know that she cares. And that is my Stinky from Casper hand puppet. Okay. So those are a couple little Arrow mini postcards that I basically made into a compilation right there. Wild Things, Super Mario Brothers, Demolition Man, Usual Suspects. Yeah, that's those. Jason Mask from Jason Goes to Hell. Couple little figures right there. Raptor with Lex and Tim. Still in box because that just works as a display. This right here I call my cat's bunk beds because Princess, Belle Belle, and Starla, that's their spot. Like, they like to sit there, especially during the summer, and sunbathe. Especially the Princess. And Starla has kind of figured that out and has been following her there. Even though the Princess tries to beat her up, Starla still finds her way back over there so she could be with her gray sister. Even though they're like half-sisters. Okay. A few more of those Frankensons displays that came off. And I basically took them and pinned them to the wall. I'm surprised out of all the Frankensons ones, the one that actually hasn't come apart yet is a Crypt Keeper one. That has stayed more or less the same. So I'm grateful for that. Okay, a couple little figures right here. That is Kitty Pryde with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man with his Gwen Stacy. That's a really cool display that I did right there because this is kind of like that moment for me where like Andrew Garfield gets to make amends with Gwen Stacy, kind of. And I really like that. Stegosaurus right there beside Ellie and Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park. Okay. And a couple little posters. Oh, that's my diploma from UNLV. Bachelor of Theater Arts. So that's my first degree. Radiology will be my second. Okay. My favorite variation of Spider-Man No Way Home mini poster right there. Because that had all the Spider-Mans in there. And that was the poster art that they should have gone with for the theatrical. But, of course, they couldn't because they wanted to keep it a secret until the movie came out. That the three Spider-Man were together. That's literally like maybe my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time because it had all three of them and it worked. A couple little cosplay pictures right here. Beside Danielle again. Okay, and finally, like I said, this is going to be about a 2-hour video. Okay, so what we have right here, that is, hold on one second. Elvira in Elvira Movie Macabre. I just wanted to make sure that I got that playing again so I can at least get that in the video. Okay. So, that is Night of the Demons movie poster from Shout Factory release of Night of the Demons. Like I said, the company is kind of in a transitionary phase right now, so I hope for the best and hope to get more Shout Factory stuff in the future because Shout Factory is a good company. Right now they haven't really been releasing a whole lot of really good new titles because they've just been going back into their previous catalog and doing 4Ks, basically. Which is fine. They're a company, they're a boutique, they make money. I'm just hoping that this merger, whatever they got going on, it turns out for the best. And that is a commissioned thing poster, also Shout Factory. My banger clothes. If I have a section of like banger vinyls, these are my banger clothes right here that I wear religiously. So those are banger clothes. Bull T-Rex. Beside a really awesome race car display that I got from Home Depot that they were going to toss out. So I took it and I found a spot for it. Liam Neeson mini poster from the release of the rebooted Naked Gun. I honestly wish they would have gone with this for the theatrical poster because that looks awesome. My face hugger prop. Okay, so what do we have here? That's my Disney collection right there. Let me move my Gambit trench coat away. Basically, that trench coat was from a Spirit Halloween costume from 2 years ago, and I basically repurposed it into day wear in the winter for me, because like I said, Gambit is my favorite superhero, so now I get to be Gambit. Those are Disney Blu-rays right there. Captain Marvel poster behind those. Those are Universal Blu-rays right there. Those are the ones that aren't in any of the previous shelves right there. So that's like Jaws, Gremlins, Blues Brothers. You get the picture. And these are my animated Warner Brothers DC Universe movies. The animated ones. So like Batman, Superman, all those go there. Spider-Gwen, Funko, comic cover. Next to an Elvira VHS from Spirit Halloween. Next to the stand comics that I'm currently in the process of going through right now. Like I said, with my comics, I like to do them in the graphic novel form so they sit nicely on a shelf. Okay, here we go, guys. We're almost done. So this is Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters poster. This is nostalgia for me because I used to work in a Regal, and this was one of the posters that I was able to get when I was working at Regal. I never got one of the displays. I got a few posters though, and Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is like one of my favorite ones that I did get from them. That is Mr. Blonde Reservoir Dogs poster. Faculty poster from Shout Factory, of course. Billy Zane as the Phantom. Danielle, Sonia, Sabrina, Electra. Me in front of a retro theater in Whittier. Thank you, Danny, James's brother, for getting that photo for me, because it's a really awesome piece. And it just fits for a cinema guy that loves movies and loves to talk about movies, which is why I started this little podcast for myself. Really awesome commissioned RoboCop 2 poster right there from Shout Factory. We'll go up and then we'll go down. Okay, so Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. Megatron from Beast Wars. Freddy Light. Thundercracker and Skywarp that used to be by my RoboCop mini poster in the front room. I used to have those guys by them, but now they're in the bedroom. Next to Jack Burton, Ian Malcolm, M'Baku, and Star-Lord. Star-Lord, the Black Panther version. From Marvel What If. Okay. So, Tron Ares popcorn bucket. Tron Ares popcorn bucket. I probably shouldn't have kept the light on while I was doing the video because I pretty much killed that battery, so I'll probably have to get a new battery for that one and for the Rebirth popcorn bucket in the front room. They probably use watch batteries. I'll figure that out. So, Dream Warriors VHS beside my Mount Rushmore of plushies. So that's Pinhead, Michael, Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy. That's my Mount Rushmore of horror. And a few more comics and magazines, basically, is the display that I'm working on in here. As you can see, it's not fully done. I condensed a lot of stuff down to make way for more stuff. I'm trying to do a little better with my collections. So, I feel I finally got it. I'm getting it down somewhere condensed-wise, where it doesn't look like it's too much. At least I feel it's not too much. I'm trying not to collect as much, but also getting into more high-end figures. I got some Hot Toys that I will be getting. Wolverine, X-23, and Blade are on their way on installment plan, so eventually I will get those. Okay. Red Bull Rex right there. Stripe from Gremlins with Hammerhead from Spider-Man the Animated Series. Next to some loot that they got. So those two are stealing money and taking names, and I like that actually. Okay, that's a really awesome Tales from the Crypt VHS poster right there. I really like it. Of course, Roxanne the Destroyer basically destroyed that. That's how she got her name for destroying things. I don't care. That's my ride or die. I love that Calico so much. I don't know what would ever happen if I lost that Calico. She was my first cat. And she was basically the one that my Husky Lightning imprinted on. Her and Princess Belle Belle. Like, she imprinted on both of them because Lightning was still around a few years when the cats came into the house. When she allowed the cats to be put into the house. Lightning, I miss that Husky. She was a great dog. And I'm really glad that she was able to print on 2 of the cats to be my protectors. And I know that that's what she intended to do in her last years, was imprint so I would be safe. And I'm grateful that she did. A few little displays here. Iron Man, Standy, as I said. Retro Thundercracker, Skywarp. Superman with Crypto. Elvira, the legend. Mummy Mask. Funkos. Pennywise, King Cole from Dragon Ball, and Smart Hulk, Professor Hulk. Inglorious Bastards mini poster from V. Arrow release. Dream Warriors mini poster. Another one. Another shot of Ripley with the Sulaku crew. Captain Marvel poster. Dreadnoughtus from Jurassic World Dominion. Georgie's little sailboat from It. Another gift from Danielle because she gets me. Fright Night mini poster, actually. Eliza Dushku True Calling poster. That poster is not in production now. So that came from when True Calling was on TV. It is retro. It has been with me for many, 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 many years. And I'm glad to have it. Fright Night mini poster. Ozzy Osbourne Bark at the Moon poster. When Ozzy passed, I got into collecting Black Sabbath albums, and Bark at the Moon was my first vinyl that I got of Sabbath and a live album, and I was really grateful to find that mini poster on the inside, so that's special to me, because I basically got it the day after Ozzy passed. You know, when finding Black Sabbath albums was going to be difficult, but it was like that was meant to be mine. And I also got a live album as well of Ozzy's. So those are important to me. Books. Those are my movie book collections right there. So there are novelizations of movies. My friend Brittany Bircher as Elvira. Frankenson's art prints for Captain Marvel and the Hobgoblin. It's really hard to tell, but those are from the DVD release of the Transformers series from Rhino Home Video. Those are lithograms that came with the DVDs. So that is Starscream, and I believe it is Skywarp, yes, Skywarp and Rumble. So I've had those since I've had the Transformer DVDs, and I framed them because they make great collection pieces. Okay, Ecto 1 with the dinosaur. I forget the name of it, but it's basically the devil dinosaur. Toro, the Toro from Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous. This is multiverses right here. It's like multiversal events right here. So what we have is that iconic scene of the Decepticons in the Autobot spacecraft from Transformers the movie, but it's with Star Wars figures. So what you have is Darth Maul, you have Darth Vader, you have Luke, you have Mando, and you have Bo-Katan in the place of the Decepticons. In-box figures of Captain Marvel and the Creep from Creepshow. Like I said, Avril Lavigne Let Go album. I am nostalgic for that album, specifically because it reminds me of high school. Few more Walmart VHS banners that a friend of mine was able to snag for me. One more poster from when I was working for Regal from Hunger Games. I really like the look of that one. That's been with me ever since the Regal days. Okay. Typo Negative Bloody Kisses album. Cover right there. Promotional from when the album first came out. Really retro. Really glad to have that. Star Trek Into Darkness. Really glad to have that one. Also from Regal when that movie came out. Halloween 2 large poster. I should probably get a better spot to put that one, but that is some of the concerts that I've been to. Danielle went with me to the last concert that I went to, which was on my 40th birthday last year. That was Collective Soul, so that I put a picture of her there. She took a picture of me in front of the Collective Soul sign. And just a few other ones right here. So Bon Jovi, Garbage, The Shins, Pat Benatar, and Portishead and Billy Idol. I have been to many concerts. And as you can see, I've lived a good life. Okay, I know this one went extended length because I went on for a movie in itself for 2 hours. But I really wanted to do a really in-depth deep dive, and that's what this was. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Laters. Peace.